This video is to commemorate how I fixed the leak on Beth's Kohler faucets. So you can see I pulled all this apart, and this is a little bit unique because you can't actually get to the cartridges by taking the handle off. If you remove the screw that's holding this plastic piece in place and you pull it out, you can see the top of the cartridge, but it's sunk well below kind of the level of the sink top. And when I looked underneath, there's no easy way to remove this piece. And I believe essentially the cartridge is probably part of, I don't know. God help me if I ever have to take it to that extent. But that didn't wind up being the issue in this case. I think the cartridges are fine. They still turn relatively well. The issue in her case was something I had experienced in my own bathroom, which is that this piece of the handle had gotten so much corrosion between the actual top handle piece and the bottom piece that when you're turning this top crossbar piece of the handle, the whole thing is turning. And that's not how it's intended to work. It's intended that this piece is supposed to be static and only the handle, and the handle is turning this plastic piece inside of it, which of course is latched on to the lower plastic piece. So the whole thing is turning, which means the whole base is turning, which means water kind of comes up inside of here. And she said she would get water kind of pooling right here as a result of that. So it was kind of a compound deal with water coming up through here and leaking out through here. And then of course, never getting dried inside of here. This was all completely rusted. I had to take a t-shirt, put it on here, soak the t-shirt in vinegar, leave it on for 10 minutes, remove it. Actually, when I very first got it all apart, I had to use a screwdriver to break. There was so much, it was probably a combination of calcium and rust that I just had to kind of gently chip away at to get it all off of there. And then I did the vinegar treatment and the wire brush thing to try to get it a little prettier. But that in and of itself isn't going to necessarily, it's going to help this piece go on more easily, right? And come off more easily. But the root cause of the issue, again, would have remained because this was still so locked down that when I put it back together, you turn the top piece, the whole thing would turn, recreating the same situation. So to fix that, what I had to do was basically pull all this apart with the encouragement of a YouTube video. And the way I had to do it was I removed, so essentially this plastic piece goes inside here, right? But even just removing the screw, I couldn't just pull it apart. I had to soak the whole thing in vinegar with the handle attached to the base for 15 minutes just to be able to kind of gently pry and pull this loose. Which even with all the corrosion gone, like this is a pretty tight fit onto this piece. And then ultimately to get all of the corrosion, which was mostly just calcium, but to get all the corrosion out of the inside of this, and you see some white there at the bottom of this, but that's some plastic piece. It was previously covered in white calcium. So to get that out, essentially what I did is I put this like that inside of a plastic container, filled the inside of it up with vinegar, and then just poured a little bit of vinegar into the container to kind of form a seal. And remarkably, the vinegar inside of this stayed put. I left it for, 30 minutes probably. It bubbled up pretty good. When I poured it out, it seemed like all of the the majority of the calcium was gone. I mean, I chipped around in there a little bit to try to get it as cleaned up as I could. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all back together. This is an 8/32 thickness screw that I got from Elliott's to replace the original one, because of course in the process of trying to pry all this apart, you're probably going to damage the Phillips head. But you can replace that, and it's a good idea to do so. And as per the encouragement of the YouTube video I watched earlier, I've got some Danco Faucet silicone grease that I'm going to use to basically kind of apply to every aspect of this to keep it rust-free and turning smoothly. So I'll put it back together and then I'll report back to let you know how it went.